This week on Three Dad Bods.
So I want you guys to go back to the 80s. And I want you to go back. So this was before Rachel. This is before Tracy. So, ladies, we love you. We found the love of our lives. This has nothing to pertain to you, but I want you guys
to play us.
Sarcastic, witty, and not afraid to mix it up. Pop open a cold one and welcome to Three Dad Bods.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Three Dad Bods with Brent, Carl, and visiting us from the World Series hosting city of Phoenix, Sean. How y'all doing?
Great. Pretty good.
Yeah.
How about those Diamondbacks, Sean?
How about them? They're doing pretty good.
Is anything like what? I've never been in a city with a World Series, so like
that's too bad.
I mean, like Nashville doesn't have a baseball team, and when I visited cities, they didn't have a World Series going on. So I've been around All-Star games. We had the NHL All-Star game. I've been around Stanley Cup Finals. I have not been around Super Bowls, but I've been around NFL football drafts. So like, I'm just curious, what kind of things are going on there in Phoenix?
That's interesting because having lived in Minneapolis and Phoenix now, this is my third World Series experience. So my first World Series experience was '91, Jack Morris, Kirby Puckett.
The Braves, right?
Against the Braves, and the Twins won in 7 games. Jack Morris pitched an entire, 10 innings. You'll never see that again. It was amazing.
Game. He was a
10
stud.
innings. He pitched
and Kirby
10
Puckett,
innings.
One of the greatest human beings, period. Kirby
Amazing
Puckett.
Amazing person. Really, really nice man. The guy's like 5'6" and could jump 10 feet in the air. I mean, the guy was a freaking amazing athlete. Just
so are you
ridiculous.
going to any of the games this series?
You know what sucks? I was online and I was gonna buy tickets, and I was texting a friend, "Hey, you want to go to the World Series with me?" And it took him like 10 minutes to respond, and within that 10-minute period, they had sold out. So and the tickets were, I'm probably better off. The tickets were like $400 a piece.
But to be there,
it would have been really cool. So, I was here during the 2001 World Series when the Diamondbacks won. So both experiences thus far that I've had have been winning experiences. I haven't lost a World Series when I've been there. I've been to the Super Bowl. I've been present for the Super Bowl in Phoenix and Minneapolis. So the Final Four in Minneapolis. So I've had some
you're a lucky penny. Is that what you're saying?
No, I've had some really good experiences.
Cool,
yeah, so it's
so
been
is
pretty
anything
cool.
going on? What's?
Yeah. There's some little events and everything, and Major League Baseball tries to do a few things like the NFL and the NBA with game day experiences and that sort of thing. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. It's a lot of
cool,
fun.
Man.
Yeah.
I guess the question is Phoenix a little different though? Remember when the Utah Jazz went to the NBA Finals? I mean, it was the only thing you could hear on the media, in the media, and everywhere you went, including private parties, talking to people at work. Utah Jazz. Is it the same though in Phoenix when it comes to this is a pretty big deal being in the World Series. So is it kind of the same, or have you noticed because Phoenix is so big that it's a little different?
No, it's pretty much everybody's talking about it. Everybody's wearing the Diamondback paraphernalia, and
cool.
I don't know. I should be ashamed. I have a personalized Diamondbacks jersey.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, didn't you go out on the field with those guys? You got to actually.
Yeah, I played a game at Chase Field in Diamondbacks.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
attire, and with the coaches and a couple of the players, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll have to I'll have to look up a couple pictures or something like that and show. It's pretty cool. I played first base, and I hit, and I got a hit to right field, and
Who was pitching?
I hit it as hard as I could, and I barely made it over the infield.
First base line.
Dude, that is awesome, though. That is
So
so
it-
cool.
it-
Like,
yeah, it was really neat.
I've been on basketball courts in arenas before, and I've been in, of course, seen baseball games and football games. I just love, like, to me, I'm captivated by how the arenas look and how the stadiums look. So for like you to be there, like on the field, like I would just be looking around like this the whole entire time, just
I
in
was.
awe.
I mean, sitting in the dugout where the Diamondbacks sit, and that was really cool. Going into the locker rooms from the dugout, and it's right behind the dugout. They actually have some batting cages and pitching warm-up spots right behind the dugout. So if you're and there's a like a doctor's office kind of thing, medical facility right there. So when you go in there, if you're wanting to warm up or something, the facilities are right there, just behind that door that is in the dugout. So it's kind of actually neat, really neat to be able to have that experience of being in the dugout, going through the facilities and the locker room, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then, like you said, being on the field in a Diamondbacks uniform with my name on it, and I got to pick my my intro music. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. What'd you choose?
I remember, Battery, Metallica.
Ah, yes.
So, which is funny because the guy before me, he it was a little strange. He chose
Pet Shop Boys.
no,
Girls.
no, he picked. I think it was called Common Man. It was a country song. I am a common man. I drive a common van. It's like
That's lame.
And then you get Battery from Metallica. They didn't really go together, but yeah, number 70. I picked 70 because of my birth year.
Yeah.
So
Aren't
it was
those,
fun.
Are these like high-end camps for rich white guys like you? Are those kind of the rage?
It's like the
if you
special
can
needs thing with the
pay them
puppets.
enough money, you can.
It was actually it was the adult version of Make-A-Wish.
Make a wish.
That's
like,
awesome,
drive-
dude.
Well, I heard in Vegas
No,
you can
it was-
drive like a supercar if you want for a lot of money.
It was basically a fantasy camp, so it was cool. We went through all the stuff.
The three of
that
us should do that sometime together. That would be a great video.
You're gonna have to. They're not cheap.
There you go. Hey, audience, help us go to our fantasy camp, and we'll give you enough entertainment for at least an hour.
Can we specify that it would be fantasy baseball and not just a fantasy camp? Because I have a feeling that
Our
Bacon
different definitions of fantasy.
might choose something inappropriate.
Oh, never. Only Brentwood. Anyway, that sounds
said
awesome,
bacon.
Sean.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, guys, Carl, Sean, listener, if you guys remember last week, we talked about the 80s. And really, good little podcast that we put together here. So I want you guys to go back to the 80s. And I want you to go back. So this was before Rachel. This is before Tracy. So, ladies, we love you. We found the love of our lives. This has nothing to pertain to you, but I want you guys
we were players.
to think back to the
I was never a
time
player.
when we actually had to go out on dates and where we would go on dates and what we would do on dates. And remember, we actually had to talk to somebody to ask them out. There wasn't Facebook where you could look at their likes and their interests. There wasn't Instagram where you could look at their pics, what kind of food they like, and restaurants, and you couldn't hit up their inbox. There was nothing like that at all. There was, I might say, hey, Carl, so-and-so, like, ask her if she thinks I'm cute,
Mm-hmm.
Carl would be like, hey, do you think Brent's cute? She'd be like, no,
Hey, he
call the
wants your
police.
phone number. He wants your phone number because he's too chicken shit to ask it for himself.
But
yeah,
to ask somebody out, you actually had to ask somebody out. So I want to talk about what kinds of things we did back in our high school days, maybe back in the middle school. We didn't do too much dating and stuff back then, but what kinds of things we did back then, and then kind of compare it to what we do today. Of course, Sean and I are married, so we don't have to go asking people out for dates anymore, thank God. We don't have to be rejected anymore, although I get rejected still every now and then. But
I don't know about that.
So let's start with you, Carl, because you were knee-deep in the girls up there, that East Side High School of Skyline up there with all them little rich girls up there. Like, how did a West Side rich kid get himself a date with all them East Side Richies up there?
Isn't there a song about that? Didn't the Pet Shop Boys do a song called West Side Girls or something like? Was that about?
You sang it earlier.
Yeah, East Side Girls with West Side
East End Boys and West End Girls.
Yeah, it's a good song. No.
Are you impressed that I knew who sung it?
Actually, I don't know. I dated both sides of the valley, man. So I had a persona for each side. But
wait, you dated
both sides?
Well, yeah. Well, no, my dating career started actually
dudes and
Sides of the
chicks?
State Street song. Sides of the State Street.
Actually started in middle school. You guys remember the 49th Street Galleria? So
oh yeah.
So I was set up because you know how it is, at that age, you can never go out by yourself with the other sex. So one of my friends in middle school, you guys probably know, I think it was Stephen DeFay at the time. Anyway, he needed a wingman. So we actually got 3 or 4 of us together, and they invited a girl from Grace, Idaho to be my date. Yeah, that was, yeah. So we went to 49th Street Galleria, played some golf. I asked the infamous question, so what do you guys do in Grace, Idaho for fun? Make out and F. I was like, you're 15. I was like,
Art?
What? Yeah, I was a little shocked. I didn't say much after that. I was like,
face paint?
No, I was just a little, it blew me away, actually. I was
Finger
like,
wrestle?
I don't know if that was an invitation, but I didn't take. I guess I wasn't fast enough to figure it out. So that was a wasted date. But I figured it out by the next year. So how it worked usually was like Brent said. You'd go to a party, maybe you'd see someone you kind of liked. You'd flirt with them a little bit. You actually had to talk to them, and I know it surprises the kids these days, but that's how it worked. And then a little later, you give it a little time. You talk to your friend at school and say, "Hey, I really like that girl, Tiffany. I would like her. How should I ask her? Because you're an idiot and you didn't really know what you're doing yet at that age. At least I didn't." And she said, "Well, she's going to be at this dance." And this is an actual experience. And so I went to the New Year's dance, and sure enough, she was there, and just asked her to dance a few times. And then it became like the whole dance. And then when it struck midnight, Crazy for You by Madonna. Carl got taught the ways of the world for about a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then the next 3 months was a whirlwind. So yeah, anyway, that I think she liked me. Yeah, I was barely 16. Well, I wasn't even 16 yet. I was about 2 weeks out, so it didn't matter.
So you were going to Skyline then at that time?
Yeah, I was. So I had to slum and date a West Side girl first. It was easy. That was easier. And then later on, I don't know what it was like at Cypress, to be honest, because I don't know what you guys did, and because you'll be sharing that in a second. But
what kind of things did you do?
Well, Skyline, it was stuffy. It really was. I mean,
what do you mean?
Everybody went on group dates. I mean, you had 10 or 15 people on a damn date, so it got a little ridiculous at times. Like if you want to know about the proms, the first prom, I mean, we had a group of 20. I'm sure you guys kind of did the same thing. And, well, wouldn't you? I mean, you wouldn't go on a single date on a prom date or a homecoming, would you?
I wore shorts on one of my proms. I had dress shorts,
the coolest...
high top Converse, and a tuxedo top. And Tracy was actually my date. She had a short skirt, high tops, and a tuxedo top.
Well, we kind of did the same thing. You know, it wasn't nice. No one was wearing tuxes up there. I mean, everybody wore suits to the dances, and then girls would just wear regular dresses. But I remember for senior prom, we actually did get a tux, but a lot of the guys got shorts with the tuxes and high tops. So that was the cool look in '88. And we rented
trying to look
out
like Don Johnson.
Exactly.
Everybody
but we never did. The Villa Theater. Do you guys remember that on Highland Drive? Do you ever remember the Villa Theater with the big 2200? Okay.
Yeah,
one of the guys
happened
to be working there, and so he got the owner to agree for the senior class guys to rent out the entire theater that night at midnight. And so after the dance and dinners and everything else, we brought everybody to, most of us got into regular clothes, and then we went over and watched what was the Young Frankenstein, the movie The Young Frankenstein. And so that was a blast, man. That was really fun. We had full access to the popcorn and food, which was kind of strange. I was a little shocked they let us do that because we beat the hell out of the place. Whoever the dude was that set it up, I feel bad for him because he had to clean that whole thing up. But he and his buddies. But it was a good time. And so we got home at 4 or 5 in the morning, and my parents, of course, were freaked out a little bit. But it was a good memory. But
so let me ask you, Carl, and Sean, just because you were kind of talking about this, and one thing, and I don't know how it is in Arizona, I don't know how it is in Utah anymore, but I felt like we had a lot of prom events in high school. You had junior prom, you had senior prom, you had Sadie Hawkins, you had Sweethearts Dance, you had there were big, where you'd have to rent a tux.
Like every month it seemed like some kind
but
of
out
dance.
here they don't do anything like that. There's homecoming, and that's it. That is it.
Really?
So so my question to you is, give me one, maybe two stories of how you asked somebody out to prom. Because there was always, you had to be creative. You could just walk up and ask somebody out and stuff. You had to do something,
I hated that part. Go ahead, Sean. Do you have a good story? Because I don't.
So it might have been junior. I don't remember if it was my junior year. At this point, the computers were starting to, come out, and so I just printed I can't even remember her name, but I just printed out a banner of that paper that was attached to.
It's like the dot matrix stuff that had the holes on it.
Matrix. Yeah, so I made a banner with the computer. I had to program a thing so I could even do it. It was ridiculous, but so I looked up how to program this. I printed out a banner that was 10 feet long. It said, "So and so, will you go to junior prom with me?" And I hung it up above her locker.
That's cool.
Just kind of like that one show when he's holding
everybody
up the boombox
in the hallway, walking back and forth to class, and saw it. I mean, the whole school, saw it. It was.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
did you have anything?
At the time, that was considered high tech and cool.
Oh yeah!
Oh, look what Sean did. That's really cool. So
I had a friend deliver a pizza with a puzzle in it, and
that's pretty creative.
That was all right. It wasn't. I just felt weird doing that, but my kids. I mean, every freaking dance is that way. They have to think of something creative. I even had one guy in the cross-country team dress up as Jesus and showed up at one of his dates. Sacrilegious as hell. Anyway, that was pretty ballsy. But, that kind of stuff happens out in Utah County. But, Yeah, where did this whole go to ridiculous lengths to ask your date think? I mean, in Tennessee, is that even a deal?
Not really. Not really. And like I said, they only have one prom here. I have two that I can remember I did. One of them, my buddy Lucius Montaliti and myself, we made a rap video. Like a full-length rap video. Yeah. And I gave it to Tracy, and she had to watch the whole thing, and I asked her at the end of it. And then the other one that I remember was I baked a cake, and in the middle of the cake, I had wrap up that said, "Will you go to prom with me?" But it was heavily frosted, and she had to eat the cake not using her hands.
Oh, geez, with her. Oh, and they videoed that for you?
No. It's different, two different ones there.
Okay. Yeah, well, these days with cell phones, that would have been a lot easier to get that on.
Oh,
like Instagram.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's cool.
So, Sean, what are some things like you did on dates? Back in the day, just places or ideas or.
So one of the things that I liked doing was I liked driving up into the mountains because it's one of the more beautiful places on the earth, and just really pretty, and it was a lot of fun. And
did you ever go to the U, like the actual U itself up there on the mountain?
I never went up there, but I'd go up to Immigration Canyon or go Park City or Deer Valley or different places, and it was fun, and the girls usually liked it, and so it was a good time. There was I went to a lot of different dance places. I can't remember what they were called now, but there was one in Provo that when I was going to Snow College, we would drive up to Provo and go to this place that had a floor that had lighting in it, and it would the lighting would change.
Wow, like a disco floor.
Yeah, it was kind of fun actually. Yeah, so I can't remember what that was. I can't remember what any of these places were called, but we would go, do that kind of stuff. And
I remember the Xenon or Palladium over by Sugar House had a floor like that.
There was the Hippodrome.
Yeah. The Bay used to be the
Bay. Yeah, the Bay
used downtown.
To take people up to the Bay. One time I can't remember where I met them, but I met a couple girls. They told me they were from Idaho, and
girls.
I talked Mark in. I think it was Pocatello. So I talked Mark into going to Idaho with me to go on a double date. So he and I drove to.
Oh my God! That's a long ways.
It was
fun. A long drive.
We drove up to his grandparents because he was born in Idaho, right?
Yeah, he's from Pocatello.
So, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he moved from when he moved down to our neighborhood. Anyway, we drove up to his grandparents and spent the night, and then the next day we met these girls and spent the day with them, and then we again spent the night at his grandparents' place, and then we drove home. So we spent it was a lot of fun. Had a great time.
Did you get a cowboy hat when you were up there, or did they?
Bag of potatoes.
Yeah, we came home with potatoes.
So I'm going to give you guys a couple popular restaurants that we went to.
Okay.
Just kind of ring that bell back again. First one that comes to me right off the bat, especially with proms and stuff, is Francesco's.
Yep.
We went to Oceans. Went to Oceans.
Diamond Lil's.
Diamond Lil's.
Yeah. Steakhouse.
But that Francesco's, there was one that was over by Valley Fair Malden, and there was another one that was out at Magna, and it was basically microwaved Italian food, but it was the fancy stuff when you're 16 and 17 years old.
My buddies wanted to go to Oceans because the waitresses wore clamshell bras, and it was
I never even heard of that place.
That's pretty cool.
Oceans?
Yeah, and then
never heard.
Was that on like State
the
Street
other
or
place
7th
we
East
went,
or something?
it's up by the U, called Five Alls. It's like a medieval Knights of the Round Table steaks.
Never even heard of
It's
that.
really expensive.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it cost me a penny.
The one that I was going to bring up by the U was the Pie Pizzeria.
Yeah,
Oh, that's really good too.
Yep.
And that's more of a casual date, but yeah, that was
There was another place that weren't they kind of famous for their fries? Up by
Training Table.
the training table. Yep.
Yeah. They had that price list. And then the last one I was going to bring up was Leatherby's, where every date ends.
Oh yeah, that place was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a good place to go because it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
The
could go
ice
there
cream
for
was
any date.
fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
I think the priciest place I ever went was after high school. I was after my mission, and
Olive
I
Garden?
was I was working with the date that day at Olive Garden, but I took her up to the Airy Cafe at Snowbird. Holy cow! I ran out. I came out 200 poor. I mean, it was, and not a kiss.
Sean
damn.
mentioned going up into the mountains and stuff, but there were some great restaurants up there going up into the canyons.
Oh yeah.
There was
Snowbird,
that Ruth's
Alta.
Diner, if you guys remember that. at all.
Yeah, that's a really good place.
That place was
That was
fantastic, man.
That was the go-to place for Skyline students for
Yeah.
prom, and yeah. So,
All right, so kind of shifted a little bit forward,
mhm.
and I want to know from each of you guys how you met. We can talk about your ex, Carl, if you're cool with that.
Sure.
But Sean, I want to know how you met Rachel and what you guys did for your first dates.
Okay. Well, Rachel was a blind date. My auntie, she went to the dentist that Rachel worked for. So
I didn't know she was a dental
Dental
assistant.
assistants are always hot.
yeah.
Tracy was a dental assistant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, so she was a dental assistant. My aunt was a customer at the dentist that she worked at, and she was doing her thing, and she said, "You're really cute. You should go out with my nephew." And my wife's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, because that always works out really well.
Yeah. So, but she gave her. She would. I guess my aunt wouldn't let it go, and so she gave her number, and
She had premonition.
yeah. So she gave me the number, and I was dating somebody at the time, and I didn't really like the idea of going on a blind date. Just did not like the idea of it. So I didn't do anything with the number. I think I put it on my chest of drawers or something in my apartment, and I didn't do anything with it. And like every month, my aunt would say something. Hey, did you call that girl?
You
Yeah.
How
waited.
long was it?
Oh, I waited like I think it was 4 months.
Wow.
3 months maybe, because I mean, my older brother went on a blind date once, and he didn't have good stories to tell about it, and I just thought, yeah, I don't think I want to do that, So she wouldn't leave me alone. I finally told her, okay, fine, I'll call her, but I'm not promising that I'm going to go on a date. I will call her, and I'll spend 10 minutes on the phone, and if she's cool, we'll keep talking. If I don't think there's any kind of a vibe, I'm out. And I spent, I think, 2 hours on the phone with her.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was just clicked. Everything clicked. So,
That's awesome.
we decided to go out. She has a few different memories of, going out the first time than I do.
Hers are accurate, by the way, no matter what. Just, you know how that is,
Yeah,
Sean.
you might as well chalk it up.
So we decided to go out. I liked to go
Big butts.
country
Oh,
dancing. She had never been. So she said that would be fun. Let's go. So I took her to it was a place called the Boot Boogie.
I remember
Oh
that
yeah.
place.
It was at the fairgrounds, and it was basically a bar at the fairgrounds, or and anyway, she was a really innocent girl. She had never been anywhere like that before, and
you're like this worldly guy for sure.
Yeah, no, not really.
That just blows me away. You went dancing on your first date.
Yeah.
Yeah, went dancing.
That is a little
So
surprise.
unlike you, man.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome. I
Sean
love
out
it.
there.
I wasn't doing what you're doing. I was dancing. I don't know what you're doing. You're having a seizure. What are you doing?
That's awesome, dude. That
Anyway,
is awesome.
so there were a couple fights that broke out, and there
Even
usually
better.
were. There always were, and
I heard that place was sketch.
well, it
I mean, it
was
was
a little bit, but
Fairgrounds is not the greatest of
So
venues
you were the
anyway.
So you were the West Side guy taking the East Side Princess out to a night on the town.
Reversed.
yeah,
Oh.
I took her somewhere she had never been,
You were
and
Cinderella.
it was somewhat violent, and there were drunk people all over the place, and and here's the cool part. She was a little bit scared, and she said, "But I felt really safe with you."
That's
Oh
cool.
wow.
And that was kind of, I was kind of endearing to her because I was so protective and she felt safe. And apparently, so when we agreed to this date, we said that we're gonna go dancing. So I thought that meant I go get her, we go dancing, and then I take her home. Years later, after we were married, she was telling the story to someone, and she's like, "And can you believe he didn't take me to dinner?"
Wait,
And I'm like, "What are you
you didn't take
talking
her to
about?"
eat?
No, no. What's the matter? What do you mean? What do you mean? Can they believe that I didn't take you to dinner? We talked when we agreed to go out. We said we were going to go dancing, so that's what I took you to do.
Didn't you get her potato skins at the bar? I mean, come on, man.
No. So she
is a-
said.
Some chicken wings?
So she said, I was starving to death. I hadn't eaten,
Way to
and I
go.
was starving.
She
to
went
death.
on another date with you?
What's that? Yeah, she did. She went on
another
another
date
date with me. What's funny is I thought, well, I'm going to be hungry if I don't eat something before I went up there. So I stopped and got something to eat on my way to pick her up.
Oh,
Because
my goodness.
I didn't think we were supposed to go eat. I thought we were literally just going to go dancing. And so, but
It all worked out.
It all worked out.
Right.
She tells everybody that I tried to kiss her when we were dancing, and I don't remember that. I don't recall that at all. I think I was just holding her close because there were a couple of fights breaking out, so I was holding
Yeah.
her close, trying to protect her
Yeah,
from
right.
getting pushed, get knocked over or something. And she interpreted that as I'm trying to kiss her, but I was just trying to hold her
I
and
believe Rachel.
protect her. So
Yeah.
Carl, you're officially relieved of rolling out of the beanbag onto one arm story after that one right there, man.
no,
Yeah, I know.
no, that's not even.
I
not
agree,
even
Brett.
close.
I totally agree.
Not even close.
You
No,
didn't take her to eat.
I wasn't
That's-
married. I wasn't proposing.
That's
It don't matter,
Well,
man. You
I
always go
can't
to
be.
eat.
I can't talk too much. This next story might be a little not as bad, but close. So
Really not as bad. That's a good story.
it is a good story.
And the other girl that I was dating, I immediately stopped, and I
Oh,
just,
you
I
you just knew.
immediately.
did
like,
you take
I was-
her to dinner though that night before you took out Rachel? Probably. He's not saying anything. Notice that, Brett. He's been.
No.
Oh,
No,
I know
the
Sean
day
well
before-
enough. He wouldn't
The
do
day
that.
before I went out with my wife for the first time, I think I did take her to.
did you get her dinner?
I think I went to the spaghetti factory with her. Yeah, the other
Oh,
girl.
Spaghetti Factory was great. Ooh,
It was good stuff. It was a good date too.
that was good.
Yeah.
So
All right.
no, hey, it all turned out all right. She,
It did,
we're
man.
still married. It's 32 years, 32, 30.
You must be
Yeah.
doing something better than I was. So anyway, okay. I I actually was a waiter, and and Charlene was on a date
working
with
as a
this
waitress
guy.
in a cocktail bar.
No, it was at Olive Garden, and she was on a date with a guy named Harvey Self, and he turned out to be a polygamist later.
Harvey Weinstein. She
yeah.
went out with Harvey Weinstein.
Anyway, so they showed up, sat in my section. I was
Love
like,
Cannonball and Harvey.
That redhead's gorgeous. I already knew him. He was a friend, served a mission with my roommate, Mark Lurcher. And Mark was a little odd himself. And anyway, this guy had been over at our apartment before that, and he was talking about Adam God theory, and he's just kind of weird. And so I was like,
guy.
I was thinking, is something wrong with her being out with this guy? But the dude had some, riz, I guess the kids call it, because he didn't act like a complete tool on the dates. But what he didn't realize is I kind of liked her, and I started flirting with her the entire meal. And so she was going to set me up with one of her friends. And then it was about a week later, he comes back over to the apartment, and I just kind of throw at him because I didn't really like him. I thought he was kind of a dick. And I was just like, Harvey, when's that hot redhead gonna, throw you out or break up with you? And he said, actually, I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I said, how'd you screw that up? And he's like, I don't want to go into it. I said, well, how do I get her phone number? I kind of like her. He says, she kind of likes you too. I'm like, really? And I said, well, how do I get her phone number? He says, well, I'll have to ask permission first.
That is so
surprising.
surprising.
I probably won't ever hear back. Well, he comes back 3 days later. Yeah, she gave me the phone number to give to you. She said it was okay. And he says, you better call her because she wants to talk to you. And I'm like, wow. I've never had that happen before. So I called her. She just got home from Hawaii that day. And so we went out first day. I took her to Red Lion where I was working. That was my new job. And
restaurant, by the way. Restaurant. Yeah.
And then I took her to Lion King. And kind of funny story. As we were walking out of the movie, we were out at Temple Square. And some dude just crashes down in front of his date in front of us and asks his future bride, I guess, to get married. So that was kind of weird. We both felt kind of weird about that. And then, when I picked her up,
you had an example of somebody doing that right in front of you, and you did what you did later.
Well, this is what happened later.
That makes a lot of sense.
So on the way home, I was living with, I was a single man. I was dating all of these girls, and they're all college girls, and so I wasn't thinking. So I said, hey, you want to come over, hang out in the hot tub? And she's like, what kind of girl do you think I am? And I'm like, I guess not that kind of girl. Okay, no, never mind. Well, I'll just drop you off at your house. And so I gave her the one-handed hug behind the back. And
can we go back a couple steps?
Okay.
You asked her, this is your first date.
Well, yeah.
This is your first date. I'm just trying to make sure. I'm just trying to understand.
Well, I didn't tell you the part about her dad's opinion of me when I first picked her up. So I was in shorts and a T-shirt. That's how well I dressed up for it. And then
I just wanted to make sure I understood
either.
that this was the first date and that you were asking her to go to the hot tub.
Well, she thought the same thing.
Hey,
okay.
Look, Sean, if you don't ask, you have a 100% chance of failing. So even though he did ask and would have a 100% chance of failing, you just gotta throw it out there. I'm with you, Carl. I'm with you.
As usual, I'm the king of the comeback. So I didn't call her on the 24th, which she wanted me to, because she really liked the date, actually.
Because it was a holiday, and you don't make phone calls on religious holidays?
No, I just kind of ignored her because I felt like if I ignored her, she might like me more, which kind of sometimes backfires. But anyway,
that's what every guy thinks is the dumbest thing in the world.
Dumbest thing in the world. She really.
Look, guys, if you like a girl, call her the next day, please.
She did want to hang out with me. I kind of felt like a schmuck after that. But then, so the second day, I made it up. I cooked a chicken dinner some recipe I knew from my mom, something my mom taught me with a little salad. I took her to Sugar House Park, and we had dinner watching the sunset.
Wow.
And on a blanket, and I gave her a big. That's where I got my first kiss with her. So that was romantic and
a nice chicken grease kiss.
Well, it was.
Should have.
It was
You should
grilled
have
chicken.
proposed right there. I mean, that would have been a good.
No, that was 2 weeks later.
Took her house hard, man.
Was
it really 2
fast.
weeks later?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. And then we were married 6 months later.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's quick.
Yes, it was a little too quick, but so it goes. So
That's awesome, man.
No, it was cool. It was romantic at the time, and
Hey,
I mean, we had our own song, and you know how it is when you're first in love and marry someone. At least you guys are still that way, but it was a good experience. Taught me a lot from the next adventure. So
That's awesome, man. That's a good story. Those are good stories.
all right, thanks, man. All right, Brent. How did your first date go?
So, I was having a threesome, and Tracy was on. Oh wait, sorry, wrong one. Sorry about that.
She's a saint. She's a literal. Tracy, I want you to know, I don't know how you've put up with this guy as long as you have. You've got to get a reward from the Catholic Church for just your faith in this guy. But
so I was dating a girl.
She's
dating
already
another
been
girl.
canonized.
She's been canonized. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first step.
I was
He gets a
dating
free
this
pass
girl,
into heaven.
and Tracy was her best friend. And me and this girl, it didn't work out for whatever reason. And
I have an idea.
While me and this other girl were going out, we went to a stomp at the Salt Palace, and I was dancing with Tracy, and we just kind of hit it off, kind of flirt and stuff like that here and there.
Okay.
And we went to a party, and she was there, and we kind of hit it off, and then we ended things. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to call her. So I called her up, and she went to a different high school. She went to Taylorsville, and she was part of their drill team. And they had just had a competition that day, but she got injured. So she had a torn hamstring or something like that. But I didn't know. So I called her up, asked if she'd like to go out, and she was a little hesitant just because I was with her best friend. But
what was his name
maybe
again?
Found out your reputation too. I wouldn't
that
doubt
was
it.
Joanne. That was Joanne that I was going out with.
Well, Joanne probably told her.
So I asked her out, and we went to Marie Callender's to go and eat over there. No, that's one of them places, that was just inexpensive enough, but awesome.
A good first date.
Pies too. Their pies
Better
are
than McDonald's,
awesome.
but not terribly expensive. Yeah.
And then we went back to my house and kind of watched TV and stuff for a bit, and the old girlfriend's mom kept driving by my house, watching what I was doing. It was really unusual. And so I was like, I opened up the newspaper and looked at a movie. I'm like, hey, what would you like to see? Want to go see a movie? And we ended up going to see Twins.
Oh, that's a
in
good
the
one.
movie theater.
Nice.
That's a
So
good
we
one.
went to off of 53rd and Redwood, those movie theaters over there.
How many times did Danny DeVito drop the F word in that movie?
a lot, a fucking lot.
A lot.
No, it's a PG movie, PG-13. No,
I thought he did.
No,
I thought he did.
He didn't swear that much in that movie.
Maybe I'm thinking Joe Pesci in Lethal Weapon.
You're thinking Joe Pesci.
But we saw that movie, and then in the parking lot, in the theater, I actually leaned over and I gave her a kiss.
Ooh.
And then in the
your
car,
first
we
date.
kind of made a
On the first date, she gave
Dude.
out a kiss to you?
dude. I'm smooth,
Wow.
baby. I'm smooth, man. And then we kind of kissed a bit in the car afterwards, and then I took her home. And the next day was a Sunday, and I picked her up, and I don't even know where we were going. I think I wanted to take her up behind the Capitol to go take some pictures, but in reality, I just wanted to make out some more. And as we were going up to the Capitol, we were downtown, and a car, a station wagon from Massachusetts, I remember, ran the stoplight and smacked right into us, and we got into a bad car accident. Like, Tracy cut up her knee. Yeah, second date, My car is totaled out. It's in the Hyundai. Yep. And so
Brent's dad usually says, "Don't get arrested," before he goes out on dates, and this time he got in an accident instead of saying, "Just be safe with the car."
I find a payphone, and because the car was, it was pretty bad. I had to get towed off. So my parents were in church, and y'all know how like my dad always wore like a straight suit from top to bottom, and my mom would wear like her little fur coat and stuff like that. So they came and picked us up. That's the first time they met Tracy from an accident and took her home. And so our parents met on our second date. Her parents opened the door with like, her dad's wearing pajamas. And I remember after dropping her off, I remember my mom was like, "See, if you'd gone to church, that would not have happened at all. You should have been in church that day."
That's something Bev would say. Yeah, absolutely. You big sinner.
Right, But so that was our date, and it wasn't any 2 weeks after we proposed. It was 8 years after.
8 years? Proposed.
Oh yeah, we dated for 8 years.
So how old were you when you dated her?
I was a senior in high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably smart. Waiting 8 years. Can't get my kids to think that way either, though. So we'll see. I don't know if I want grandkids eventually, though. So
you do, but
well, that's a cool story, Brent.
Thanks for listening to 3 Dad Bods, and make sure to catch their past episodes on Spotify, Apple, and Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure and leave a comment to help stroke their fragile egos.